Hey, what's happening? Brett Miller, Choppin Ain't Easy. Hey, today I wanted to take a look at some bikes I've been telling you guys about. This is part 2 of our customer, Doug Willis. These are some more of his bikes that we've helped him with over the years, and I just wanted to go over them with you and show you some of the details of these amazing machines that he's got. You've seen some of these in the background in the past, and I promised you I'd take a look at them. Obviously, a full-on chopper here for Choppin Ain't Easy. We've got 93 FXR that has a fuel-injected twin cam in it, and of course, 2022 Harley Davidson L Diablo. These were a very limited edition, 1,500 bikes. Doug has taken his above and beyond that. We're gonna go over some of that stuff with you right now. The first thing that's gonna pop out on you on Doug's L Diablo as opposed to a stock L Diablo is gonna be those wheels. We just got those installed at the end of the day yesterday with some new Metzeler Cruisetec tires. We did rock a 21 wheel up front and an 18 in the back. The stock sizes are 19 in the front and 16 in the back. The red anodizing was really what kind of drew Doug to it, and the shape and the spokes and everything else. They're just an amazing looking wheel. The other things that we've recently done for Doug is we had his dash painted. That dash looks amazing. That was painted by Gunslingers, the people who originally painted the L Diablos for Harley Davidson. Doug's is number 621 of 1,500. Harley Davidson also did not paint those side covers, so they did that for him. Looks way better than just the black ones. And then when Doug came in this year and he saw that they finally made both saddlebags the same size on the 2025 Lowrider STs, he needed one of those. And obviously we had that painted as well at Gunslingers. That does run into a couple of issues when you try to do that, simply because Harley Davidson did not update their parts book. It has all the same parts number as the 2024. So we had to call them and figure out exactly what we needed, because it's a new back, a new front, a new arm that goes down, which also translated it into us having to get a hold of Bassani and get a brand new bracket. They were prepared and they had a bracket. Vance & Hines has one out now too for the 2025s. You'll see this brake arm that he's got from Thrashin here. Thrashin brake arm. He's also got the Thrashin mini floorboards. He likes those quite a bit. And we put on that mini P54 for his brake pedal. He had a set of those mini P54s. Most people have seen those as brake arms, or brake pedals, excuse me, touring bikes, which we did that to his Road Glide, but we had to make special brackets or special spacers, I would say, turned them on the lathe so that we could make that work on a Softail. He obviously has the Moon's headlight that we put in for him. He has the Thrashin high bend bars and the Thrashin pullback risers. This thing is set up to roll. Doug really likes riding this bike. I think he enjoys all of his bikes, but this one stands out. And this is Doug's 1993 FXR. Like I was saying, it does have a twin cam motor and 6-speed transmission and fuel injection out of a later model Harley Davidson touring bike. This was actually built originally at another dealership by a mechanic that used to work here at High Country, who we like quite a bit. He's a good guy, but it has been here for the last several years. We had it in this winter. Unfortunately, somebody had borrowed it and not treated it well, so there was quite a bit of problems. We had to go back through the wiring harness and a bunch of other things and get it running right again. But now it rides and runs amazing. Doug's very happy with it. Got the new Legend shocks on the back. I did a lot of stainless steel hardware for him. I wanted him to have as much room inside the fender as he possibly could, so I bought some expensive hardware to put in there. We had these 12 points and very flat looking bolts on the back. However, as much as these things move, we ended up flipping this one so that he had maximum room, and it still looks pretty cool because it was nice stainless steel bit of hardware. And of course, my 12 points that I like to put on his dash. We were able, from the FXR division, ordered him a new gas gauge and sending unit. This is Doug's FXR-Style chopper. This was a complete custom build. There were several of these built, commissioned by the Hells Angels. This was built in 2006. It does have a 103 Screamin' Eagle engine in it that came out of one of the very first CVO bikes. It was Road King CVO. The frame, while being FXR-Style, is built by a company called Chopper Guys. Unfortunately, I don't think these guys are around anymore because they built some really cool stuff. Not just chopper FXRs, they would build, you know, regular rake and everything else too. The tank and fenders for these bikes was built by Jesse James back in the day when he was still out in California. I believe there's only 5 of these bikes remaining and only 2 left in the United States. Apparently 3 of them have gone overseas. This one is blue and white. I'm going to show you a picture. It was originally red and white, which makes more sense. It was owned for a bit by our general manager, Reed. I don't know the entire story, but there was some shenanigans involving a racetrack and it got scratched up, so it needed to be repainted. And since Reed is not a Hells Angel, they just asked him if he would paint it a different color than the red and white. So he picked out this blue, which looks really cool. And then Doug bought it back so that a Hells Angel owned it. Yeah, it's pretty rad. We've put different risers and bars on it over the years. You know, it's hard to get these things exactly fit. Sometimes you just have to try stuff and see what you think and then do it again. We also just recently took the headlight bucket. It was chrome unit from Arlen Ness, powder coated it black. But this bike is a runner and gets lots of looks. I actually knew about the bike before I ever met Doug. In 2023 at the Sturgis Rally, when the Hells Angels went down Main Street, I'm like, hey, that's that bike Reed owned. And I didn't know Doug at the time and watched him ride by. And it was pretty cool. The police blocked off the streets for him and they all rode down on their different bikes. And yeah, so they have a pretty good presence up there. This bike is pretty amazing. And you're not gonna, like I say, there's only one other like it in the United States. So it's a pretty exclusive club that has this bike, but it is a really, really cool bike, runs well. Most of the choppers I've ridden in my life had no rear suspension, and I've had my spine fused. I don't know if there's a correlation there or not, but there could be. This one may have been a better choice. But yeah, it's pretty amazing looking. All of these bikes are really good looking, and we're getting ready to take 2 of them to him right now. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you later. All right, so we're gonna get into some kind of Harley nerd stuff with you. This bike is a 93 FXR, but it has a fuel-injected twin cam motor in it. This is a full-on chopper, obviously, and it also has a twin cam motor, and it doesn't happen to be fuel-injected. A lot of times you may be out and you might start looking at stuff like that, and you're like, where did he get this from? I even heard a guy on another one of these channels who had been given a motor and transmission and stuff to put into his Dyna, and he said, I wonder where this came from. Well, the fact of the matter is, you can at least figure out how it left Harley Davidson from the numbers down on the side. A lot of people know that that is kind of corresponds with your VIN number, but you can break it down and you can figure out how this motor at least left Harley Davidson. So we're going to show you how to do that right now. All right, so what we're going to be looking at is this number right down here. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up on film. I will be writing these down and I will be showing you some of the different places that you can find this information. All right, so we're gonna take a look at what those numbers on the side of those motors meant. People refer to that as an abbreviated VIN. They know that it has something to do with the VIN number on the side of their bike, but they don't always know what that means. But yes, there's numbers that are down there that match the VIN number on the original frame. Neither one of those bikes are in the original frame, so we're just trying to figure out what those motors were when they left Harley Davidson. So when we take a look at the first one, which is the one that is in the chopper, the numbers that we saw on the first 4 digits on there was PGE3. So what that means is 3, the 4th digit is your year when you look at the side of one of those motors. Now, 3 just means it was from 2003. And I could tell that was a touring model. I started looking through touring model books, could not find PG as a model. And then I thought about it, wait a second, it says Screamin' Eagle on the side of it, also says that it's a 103. The only thing back then was a CVO that had a 103. So I grabbed a book for CVO and there's a VIN breakdown, and sure enough, it's actually in here. Instead of be the first 2 digits, it is the 5th and 6th digit, PG, and that is your model. And this is a Road King Screamin' Eagle. So it's FLHR, which means Road King. SE means that it's a Screaming Eagle, CVO. I just means it was fuel injected. They had that designator back then up until they all went fuel injected. And then it says 2. Probably the second time, I'm guessing, that they had made a Screaming Eagle Road King. So we know the year, we know the model. What's the engine size? That would be the E. That is actually the 7th digit here. And that says that it's a 1690 cc's, which means 103. That's how that motor, I believe, still is, but that's how it left Harley Davidson, was out of a 2003 Road King CVO Screaming Eagle with a 103. That's pretty cool. And now if we go to his red bike, which is, it said FC49. So again, that 4th digit on the side of the abbreviated VIN corresponds with the 10th digit on every VIN number, whether it's a Dodge, whether it's a Ferrari, whether it's a Harley Davidson. This is a federal law. The 10th digit is your year. They started this in 1980, and they started with letters A, B, C. You know, skip things like I's because they look like ones, but they went all the way up to the year 2000, Y, Y2K, there it was. And then after that, in 2001, they went back to numbers again. 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 2009. Now, they started back over with the A in 2010. The thought process being, if you can't tell the difference from 1980 and a 2010, you got some other problems going on. So they're going to repeat that. They're going to go through the letters again, and then there will be a 9-year period where they're going to probably use the numbers again and repeat over with the letters. That shouldn't cause any problems. So we know it's a 2009, and I could tell by looking at it, it was a touring bike. I just kind of know that stuff. So I went and grabbed a 2009 parts manual, and if you look in there, it's got a great VIN breakdown. And again, it goes through the stuff. You know, most people know when you look at your full VIN that it says 1HD1. What does all that mean? It tells you all this stuff that that these things mean. And you know, the 1 just means it was built in the United States. HD, obviously built by Harley Davidson. The 1 means it's bigger than 901 cubic inches. So pretty much all Harley Davidsons they used to make back in the day, other than the 883. The 883 would be 1 HD4. Not sure where they got the 4 from, but nevertheless. And then your 5th and 6th digit would be your model, which in this case is the first part on the engine, FC. So if we look down here at FC, we have an FLHTCU Ultra Classic Electroglide. That's what it came out of. The 4 says that it is a twin cam, 96-inch or 1584 cc's. And again, that it was fuel injected, because by 2009 they were all fuel injected. They didn't have to have that I designator on there anymore. They stopped doing that once they all became fuel injected. And so, you know, the number 4 is actually, let's see, 1, 2, so 4, 5, 6. It's the 7th digit if you had the big full VIN. But since we're just talking about looking at choppers that you think the motor may have been taken out of something else, you really only need to concentrate on the first 4. The first 2 are going to give you your model. The 3rd one is going to give you the size of the motor, at least how big it was when it left Harley Davidson. And the 4th one's going to be your year so that you can try to narrow it down. But you need to be able to look at it and go, well, that's a Dyna motor, or that will help you. Because then you could go to one of these parts manuals, or I'm sure you could find it online with not knowing that, but you should be able to tell the difference between a touring bike, a Dyna, and a Softail. So at least narrow down your search. And once you start getting into letters as that 4th one, then you need to look it up and see what year was that, right? And again, you ought to be able to tell the difference from an 81 shovel head, a 2001, you know, twin cam. So you have to know a little bit about what you're looking at, but then once you know that, you can take those 4 digits and you can nerd out like this, and you can figure out what that motor came out of, you know, what model it came out of, how big it was when it left Harley Davidson, and what year the bike was. Kind of cool stuff, kind of Harley nerd stuff, but I dig things like that. Hope that's helpful.